Two cops, one striped Torino, one city on edge.
I'm Hutch. He's Starsky.
Starsky and Hutch didn't just chase crooks. It helped set the buddy cop blueprint. It fused street-level grit, pop swagger,
Boom! Get out of here!
and a theme you can't shake. But behind the leather and sirens were censorship fights, on-set scares, and studio chaos. Here are 20 wild facts you didn't know about Starsky and Hutch.
Ooh, the new Cadillacs come in.
Fact 1. BBC banned The Fix. The BBC effectively banned an entire episode before most viewers even knew it existed. The Fix depicted coerced drug use involving Hutch, footage deemed too graphic for British television in 1975. The corporation buried it deeper than Jimmy Hoffa's last known address, refusing to air the episode during any BBC run for over 2 decades. 24 years later, Channel 4 finally unleashed it during their Starsky and Hutch Night Marathon on May 31, 1999. By then, the forbidden episode had achieved legendary status among hardcore fans who'd heard whispers in video stores but never seen the actual footage. Sometimes the most effective marketing campaign is the one that says you absolutely cannot watch this. Fact 2. Lead loathed the hero car. Paul Michael Glaser despised that red and white Torino from the very first day of filming. He nicknamed it the Striped Tomato and publicly fantasized about taking a sledgehammer to the hood. What kind of undercover detective drives something that screams police car louder than an actual siren? Glaser had a legitimate point. The vehicle was about as subtle as a neon sign advertising, "Cops working here." He wanted out of that driver's seat so desperately that when the 2004 movie adaptation rolled around, he flat out refused to drive the replica version. He'd pose with it for crew photographs, sure, but actually get behind the wheel again? Not a chance in hell. Even standing next to the restored car decades later, you could still see the disdain flickering in his eyes like smoke from a dying cigarette.
Very long night for our policeman friend.
Fact 3. Finale death plan scrapped. Originally, one of the lead characters was slated to be written out for good in the series finale. Early script drafts of Sweet Revenge removed Starsky entirely, turning what should have been a buddy cop celebration into a downbeat farewell. But the studio accountants stepped in with clear, cold business logic. Retired partners don't fuel rerun revenue. Future revival possibilities shrink fast when half your central duo is permanently off the board. So the writers rewrote the ending, keeping both detectives alive and the syndication engine running smoothly for decades. Sometimes the most important creative decision is the one you decide not to take. Endings may change, but television economics rarely do.
Fix my mirror, will you? Yeah.
Fact 4. Glaser sued, then got a raise. Before Season 3 could even begin production, Glaser actively tried to break his contract and sued the producers outright in court. The man wanted out of that striped tomato worse than a witness trying to escape federal protection. But instead of simply cutting him loose and recasting the role, the studio executives opened both their checkbook and their creative control vault. They handed him significant script oversight, multiple directing opportunities, and boosted his per-episode salary from $5,000 to $35,000. That's a 700% pay increase for threatening to quit and file lawsuits. In Hollywood's twisted mathematics, organized rebellion apparently pays much better than quiet loyalty ever could. Drop a comment if you remember racing home from school to catch these reruns on syndication. Fact 5. Officer Baylor contingency. Completely convinced that Glaser wouldn't return for another season, producers created Officer Linda Baylor as Starsky's permanent replacement partner. They drafted entire episode scripts featuring her filling the vacant partner slot, ready to completely pivot the show's central dynamic around a new character relationship. Roz Kelly got officially cast, wardrobe fittings happened on schedule, and multiple backup episodes were written and budgeted. Then Glaser suddenly took the studio's generous deal and came back to work. Baylor appeared exactly once in the episode Fatal Charm, disappearing like a ghost of television history that almost rewrote everything. Hollywood storage rooms are packed full of Plan B characters who never got their legitimate shot at becoming Plan A.
It's just that we're so used to getting dressed and undressed around here.
Fact 6. Zebra 3 in Bay City. Starsky and Hutch operated under the radio call sign Zebra 3 while patrolling the fictional Bay City, California. The writers created an entire believable world around that badge number and those imaginary streets. A place where buddy cops could chase dangerous criminals without real-world political complications getting in the storytelling way. Bay City became as instantly recognizable to viewers as Mayberry or Mayfield, but with significantly more car crashes and considerably fewer neighborhood picnics. That specific call sign embedded itself in popular culture memory like a perfectly crafted advertising jingle. Even decades later, hear someone say Zebra 3 and you're instantly transported back to 1976, watching justice unfold at 70 miles per hour down suburban California streets.
Fact 7. San Pedro as stand-in headquarters.
Most of the series filmed on location in San Pedro, a working-class Los Angeles beach community that doubled convincingly for their fictional Bay City headquarters. The Metropolitan Division police building they used for exterior shots? It later became the actual San Pedro Neighborhood City Hall in real life. Art imitating life, imitating art, in the most perfectly California way imaginable. Actual police officers and city officials started conducting real business in a building that once played fictional cops on primetime television. The line between entertainment fiction and municipal reality blurred like exhaust smoke rising on a particularly hot summer day. Sometimes, the television set becomes more authentically real than the reality it was originally meant to represent.
You know, gotta hand it to you guys. You did a pretty good job.
Fact 8. Camaro Plan to Torino reality. Series creator William Blinn originally envisioned Starsky driving a Chevrolet Camaro convertible. Sleek, genuinely fast, and actually suitable for legitimate undercover detective work. But Spelling Goldberg Productions had an exclusive leasing arrangement through Ford's Studio TV car loan program, which meant absolutely no Chevrolet vehicles were allowed on set. So production grabbed two identical 1975 bright red Gran Torinos instead, designating one for the heroes and keeping another identical vehicle for villains to drive during chase sequences. Corporate partnership agreements completely killed Blinn's original Camaro dream and accidentally birthed the striped tomato legend that defined the series. Sometimes television's most memorable creative decisions happen specifically because you can't afford to make your actual first choice work within the budget.
Fact 9. The white vector stripe. Transportation coordinator George Grenier personally designed that distinctive white vector stripe pattern that transformed the Torino from ordinary muscle car into television icon. The precise placement and stripe thickness evolved significantly after the pilot episode to create a more visually cohesive look across fenders, roof sections, and front fascia panels. Like that controversial banned BBC episode from Fact 1, seemingly small design choices ended up creating massive cultural impact that lasted decades. The vector stripe became more instantly famous than most working actors' entire career filmographies. 48 years after the show's premiere, you can spot those specific white lines on red automotive paint and immediately know exactly which television series you're looking at. Truly exceptional design doesn't just age gracefully, it becomes timeless vintage iconography. Fact 10. Bench seat became a hazard. During hard right turns, David Soul slid across the vinyl bench and slammed into Glaser like a human pinball. After repeated complaints, Crews swapped the front bench in the backup Torino for properly secured bucket seats. Even TV cops needed real safety gear to survive stunt driving. The fix worked. No more mid-chase body checks. The hero car got the same treatment later. Hollywood tough guys can handle gunfights and high-speed chases, but slick upholstery will humble anyone trying to look heroic. Fact 11. Engine sounds were dubbed. California law barred hot rodding brand new engines, so the Torinos couldn't make the thunder they advertised. Post-production teams layered in authentic muscle car audio, perfectly matching the car's attitude. They looked fast and sounded faster, but underneath the stripes, they were stock sedans. Editors synced tire chirps and idle rumbles. The most convincing performance happened in the editing room. Fact 12. Ford sold 1,305 replicas. In 1976, Ford built limited edition Starsky and Hutch Gran Torino replicas in Chicago, 1,305 units plus 3 pilot cars. One, Unit 129, was leased back to the show as a backup. A TV prop became a real product overnight, a merchandising goldmine. Surviving originals now command serious money, treated like relics from the era of cheap gas and looser rules. Build sheets and VINs help verify survivors. Fact 13. Torino cameoed in Duke's pilot. After its run ended, a genuine factory replica popped up in the Dukes of Hazzard pilot. Cooter Davenport drove the striped tomato in One-Armed Bandits, a funny crossover between two car-crazy shows. One series' hero ride became another's background player. Less headline, still working. Fans still spotted on rewatches. In Hollywood, steady employment counts as a happy ending. Fact 14. Number 1 Cars Museum Odyssey. Torino Number 1 traded hands for decades after cancellation, traveling from the Cars of the Stars Museum in the UK to Miami's Deezer collection, then to a Texas collector who finished a careful restoration. The famous car wandered like an aging gunfighter, earning respect wherever it landed. Museums showcased it, collectors coveted it, and restorers treated it as American TV history. Because it is. Fact 15. Season 1. Lalo Schifrin's Tone. Season 1 opened with a dark and ominous Lalo Schifrin theme, trimmed from the pilot's chase music. Menacing end credit cues matched the show's harder, early crime drama edge. Before Tom Scott, Schifrin gave it a true film noir spine, danger lurking in every shadow. The composer effectively set the series' moral temperature, warning viewers they were entering a city where every decision carried weight. Fact 16. Season 2. Tom Scott's Gotcha. Tom Scott's Gotcha replaced the gloom with punchy jazz fusion swagger and became the show's unmistakable signature sound. Covers followed: James Taylor Quartet, The Ventures, and the theme even hit the NES game Treasure Master title screen. Like the vector stripe, it turned into instant 70s cultural shorthand, the kind that teleports memory on contact. It effectively rebranded the series' energy overnight, signaling brisker momentum without losing the street grit. The right opener can be a time portal. Fact 17. Ratings and time slot shifts. The show premiered strong, number 16 in Nielsen with a 22.5 share. Wednesdays at 10 p.m. A move to Saturdays in Season 2, then back to Wednesdays, dented momentum. Number 34 in Season 2, number 33 in Season 3. Loyal fans still followed, but the shuffle hurt. In the pre-DVR era, even modest shifts fractured viewing habits and trimmed casual sampling. Network scheduling in the 70s felt like a shell game no one wanted to play, especially casual viewers. Fact 18. 2003 Video game tie-in. A multi-platform Starsky and Hutch video game launched in 2003,
skillfully combining driving simulation and shooting gameplay mechanics with Antonio Fargas's authentic original voice work, reprising his role as Huggy Bear. 28 years after the television series officially ended production, Fargas willingly returned to voice the same beloved character for an entirely new generation of digital entertainment consumers. The video game connected directly to the original television series through legitimate casting authenticity, successfully bridging analog 70s nostalgia with modern digital interactivity and gaming technology. Aging television stars never truly die in Hollywood. They just get digitized, polygonized, and reprogrammed for whatever the next entertainment platform happens to be. Huggy Bear lived again, this time existing entirely in pixels, polygons, and computer memory. Fact 19. Novelizations by Max Franklin. Between 1976 and 1978, Ballantine Books published an entire series of novelizations credited to Max Franklin. Actually, veteran writer Richard Deming, working under a carefully chosen pseudonym for contractual reasons. The US and UK paperback editions were completely identical in content, except for subtle cover text modifications. ABC series versus BBC series, to match respective local broadcast branding requirements. Even the tie-in paperback books had to navigate complex international television politics and licensing agreements. Deming successfully transformed weekly television episodes into easily portable airport novels, creating a parallel literary universe where dedicated readers could experience familiar stories without commercial interruptions or restrictive network time slots. Sometimes the novelization actually turns out better than the original television adaptation, mainly because there are absolutely no commercial breaks interrupting the narrative flow. Fact 20. 2004 feature film release. The big-budget theatrical adaptation opened nationwide on March 5, 2004, starring Ben Stiller as Starsky, Owen Wilson as Hutch, and rapper Snoop Dogg as the updated Huggy Bear character. Warner Brothers and Dimension Films distributed the comedy internationally, transforming a gritty 70s urban crime drama into a $60 million big-screen comedy that ultimately grossed $170 million in worldwide box office revenue. The movie deliberately transformed Starsky and Hutch from serious crime-fighting partners into self-aware parody versions of their former selves. But nostalgic audiences apparently didn't care about tonal shifts. They specifically wanted the classic cars, the vintage clothes, and the central friendship dynamic, even when everything got wrapped in deliberately self-aware comedy writing. Sometimes pure nostalgia works much better as knowing satire than as completely straight revival material. The ultimate joke was simultaneously on everyone and nobody, because everyone in the theater was completely in on the intentional absurdity from the opening credits. Bonus fact: Huggy Bear's name reuse. Series creator William Blinn originally used Huggy Bear as a character name in a 1973 episode of his previous series, The Rookies, creating a memorable confidential informant character that he personally liked enough to deliberately recycle for future projects. 3 years later, Huggy Bear returned with his own bar establishment and a significantly more prominent recurring role in Starsky and Hutch's ongoing storylines. Blinn clearly understood that genuinely good characters deserve legitimate second chances in better, more suitable television shows. The distinctive name successfully traveled from one police procedural series to another completely different one, like a reliable character actor getting repeatedly cast in multiple projects by the same satisfied director. In television writing, if a particular element works effectively once, it'll almost certainly work again with proper adaptation. Here are 21 detailed facts that prove TV history hides in the smallest, most unexpected details. Which revelation surprised you more? The BBC Band episode or Paul Michael Glaser's hatred of the striped tomato? Tell us in the comments what you'd like us to cover next.